Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to 2 Minute Warning. This is the high-paced American football podcast in which time is in short supply, but with me and Jez in charge, opinions are not. It's Sunday again, and we're on to crikey, that's gone fast. Week 4 of the 2021 season. It's just absolutely gone nowhere. What's happened? Football's back and now it's October.
That's it. We're almost a quarter of the way through the season already, and it feels like simultaneously loads has happened and also nothing has happened at the same time. I'd like to think that nothing has happened and that the Bears haven't played any games yet, but unfortunately that is not the case. Yeah, I know. It's weird that we're in the same boat, though. This is a feeling I can get used to. If the Bears have to suck, at least I'm joined by you and the Patriots sucking. So that's not going to get any better late night tonight, I don't think. I think you're going to be feeling like I felt last weekend. But hey, we'll get to that. We've got that game to preview a little bit later. But welcome in, everyone. We are on Twitch. No, we're not on Twitch actually this week. We're on YouTube and Facebook this week. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll say this show is pre-recorded, so if you're chatting to us in the chat, sorry, we can't answer you from the past. So. But if you are listening in podcast form, you're used to that anyway. Feel free to do as we tend to do throughout the week, and that's just generally, raise your fist to the sky and shout your opinions at absolutely nothing, because it's cathartic. It makes me feel good anyway.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So should we get warmed up tonight?
We should get warmed up,
a bit of
warm hands and crap weather outside. So
I tell you what, it has gotten cold. We're tangenting a fair bit, but it has gotten cold. I'm not happy with the weather. It's not going to get any better. But anyway, let us get warmed up verbally, mentally, for tonight with our opening question. Many teams are 1-2 right now. 1 win, 2 losses, including some surprises. Who are the best 1-2 team currently, and why? The 1-2 teams are the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Texans, Washington football team, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Falcons. So just a couple. 2 minutes on the clock. Take it away.
Well, yeah, it was interesting looking at that list and thinking, really, are some of these 1-2? But yeah, okay, so I thought the best on that list that I could pull is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, 2020 saw them start 3-0, winning total. They put up 91 points in their first 3 last year, and in each of those 3 games, opening games of their season, conceded 20 points in each game. So 91-60. Yes, big changes happened in the off season after being on the losing side against the Bucs in the Super Bowl. This year sees them outscored with 95-92. Little bit odd going on. But what I see the shock was the losses to the Ravens and the Chargers in the previous 2 weeks. And yeah, I think it's a lot of questions on defense, right? What about you?
Yeah, with the Chiefs, that's been the complaint even when they were up in the Super Bowl in previous years. So yeah, I can see that. For me, it's the Seahawks that are the best team in that group. As you said, as you compared to last year, I'm going to do the same. This time last year, the Seahawks were also 3-0, outscored their opponents 111-86, very similar margin percentage-wise. This year at 1-2, they again very similar numbers. They have been outscored by a single point, 75-76 in regulation. They've had an overtime, so it's by 4 points overall. But I just think they need to tidy up on defense. The offense has got it. They just need to tidy up things on defense, and they need to allow less rushing yards. This time last year, they allowed 200 rush yards. This year, they've allowed 465, which is more than double. So, yeah, tidy up, and I think they're a force to be reckoned with. But both good choices, in my opinion. Both teams that should not be 1 and 2 for sure.
No. And yeah, what a great way to open the show, right? I mean, the pick of that bunch, we've both got different opinions, which doesn't happen very often, especially as we move on. And with week 3 in the books, our year-long prediction competition is well underway. And this, as we know now, is an untimed down. And I'm going to say, Jez, let's get up to date with the scores and stand-ins for our mini Lombardi. There it is.
My mini Lombardi, because I won it last year. Let's get that right. Okay. So things have been very close so far this year. You have had the slight edge. You come into this week leading by 2, I believe. And so, in week 3 of the NFL, in predicting the games, I got 11 correct. Not bad. You got 12 correct.
Hurrah!
So you pipped me to that by 1 once again. It's kind of pushing that lead even further away. But we also have the You Bet segment, in which we place bets about whether certain things are going to happen or not. 2 of them last week. The first was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, Austin Eckler, and Jared Cook all to score a touchdown. You said yes. I said no. The correct answer was no. So that's a point for me. The second was, will there be over 3 successful field goals? This is in the Bucks and Rams game. Over 3 successful field goals. Mike Evans to go over 99 yards receiving. And Leonard Fournette to score a touchdown. You said yes. I said no. Spotting a theme here. The correct answer was no. So I got that one right as well. That's 2 points for me from You Bet, which means in week 3, it's 13 Jez, 12 Matt, which pushes the overall total to a very, very close Jez 33, Matt 34.
The first week you've beaten me.
We tied last week, didn't we? Because of the You Bet.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This You Bet is coming into play. 2 weeks in a row now.
Well, you know what you need to do, don't you?
Yeah.
Bet
just
better.
Say no.
Don't say no. Just live more.
Don't say no. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's a reference that probably 1 or 2 people will get. I'm not even sure that you get, but there you go.
No.
Yeah. Moving
Way
on.
before my time.
No, it wasn't. 2008, I want to say that it's from. But if you don't know what it's from, I'm not going to tell you. I'll let somebody drop it in the comments. Absolutely. If you know what that reference is from. So, moving on then. Week 4 is going to kick off in a matter of hours. 6 p.m. games to start with, as we always do. Let's kick off with our thoughts on the Titans at the Jets. 2 minutes on the clock.
What a way to start the show with, not the show, but the game predictions.
The predictions, yeah.
Jets to win, right? No, I am only joking. Yeah, I just feel, and I think some people out there will agree with me, that the Jets are going to tank for the number 1 pick. And to be honest, I think it's embarrassing to watch. Not just only as a neutral, but a Jets fan themselves.
So say you're not neutral about the Jets.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like saying I'm neutral about the Packers. What nonsense. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson has just been, I feel, a bust. Do they have another quarterback? Yes, they do. Mike White, who? Never heard of the guy. 26 years old, out of some random college. But yeah, Titans to win for me.
I don't think Zach Wilson is the problem in the same way that Sam Darnold clearly wasn't the problem. The Jets were always going to be rebuilding here. Okay, it's first year head coach, rookie quarterback. Like them being 0-3, I don't think there's cause for concern there at this stage, not at all. But that said, the Titans are the obvious pick, and I'm going with the obvious pick. This doesn't require a whole lot of explanation. The Jets do only have 868 yards of offense so far this year. Zach Wilson has been sacked 15 times in 3 games. That's not really his fault. That's his offensive line. And the Titans are just going to take that sack number from 15 and take it over 20. So in addition to that, they'll just flat out outscore the Jets. They probably won't even need to play defense if they don't want. They can just leave it empty. So yeah, Titans win. Would I like to see the Jets beat them? That would be hilarious, but I think
That's going to happen, right?
pigs may fly, the tooth fairy may be real, all other kinds of outliers that may happen before that comes to pass.
For those children watching us, the tooth fairy is real.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, kids are watching. But yeah, we do move on.
Better put the kids to bed before we move on to the next game, actually.
Oh yeah, you might start ranting.
I might.
Because it is your Bears, and they're hosting the Lions. What do you think of this one? 2 minutes on the clock.
I'm not looking forward to it at all, in case that wasn't obvious. Like, the less I say about last week, the better. Other than the usual list of fire Nagy, fire Pace. But I'm going to add another thing to that list now. It's also trade Khalil Mack for a left tackle and a guard and get some value out of that guy and move him onto a team that can actually use him to his full potential, because we ain't it. So let's trade him and get some value and shore up the offensive line so that any quarterback can actually stay alive behind that. And add all of the Bears' woes to the fact that the Lions, although an 0-3 team, are so much better than that record suggests. They're scrappy, they're hungry, they're willing to fight to their last. They would have beaten the Ravens last week if it wasn't for the Hall of Fame leg of Justin Tucker and breaking the record. So, yeah, the Lions are going to beat us. It's going to be embarrassing again.
Well, this opened up the question of Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Am I right? But poor Bears, yes, they are really starting to look even more awful under Matt Nagy and his leadership of head coach. He's on that list of the PFF list of coaches on the hot seat this week, alongside Urban Meyer and Joe Judge. So the Jags and Giants head coaches as well. Yeah, I really felt sorry for Justin Fields because I did believe in the guy. I know you believed in him as well when he was drafted. But for me, yeah, Lions win.
And I will say, outside of the time, because it just needs to be said, I still believe in Justin Fields. Justin Fields was not the problem last week. You could put Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and in his prime Peyton Manning, and in his prime Joe Montana. Nobody succeeds behind that offensive line with Matt Nagy calling plays. Nobody. That was not a reflection on Justin Fields last week at all.
No. Well, you said, and I know it's out of our time, but the Bears do have a very strong front seven, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
Question the head coach, right?
I mean, the players are there. We're weak on the offensive line, so that's a problem. But it just requires a bit of creative thinking, and Matt Nagy doesn't have any creative thinking. Right. It was everything I predicted it would be last week, and he's being Trubisky'd once again.
Yes. Yeah, I'll get on to that guy. Don't you worry.
All right, cool. Still love Bisky. Still got love for Bisky
I got stats about that guy later. Don't
from
worry.
the streets. He's probably got better stats from the preseason than any of the Bears quarterback this year. I suppose Dalton did all right in week 1. I don't know. Anyway, moving on, because we have taken massive liberties with the timing of that last game. But moving on, next game up is the Colts and the Dolphins. I may fall asleep just thinking about this game. 2 minutes.
Yeah, so Carson Wentz, what do I say about this guy? He's awful. Never rated him. Got Super Bowl ring by default, really. So he goes on to lose against the Titans. 194 yards last week. No touchdowns. However, Dolphins didn't really play that well either. In what happened with their game. This one could really go either way. It could be a shootout, but that's a lot of could be. And I don't like could be. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Colts win.
Yeah, you're spot on in that this is a toss-up and it could go either way. Both of these teams are bad. Brissett was severely ungood in his first official Miami Dolphins start. 215 yards over 49 attempts. That's 4.4 yards per pass on average. He needs to use his legs more, especially this week against the Colts. The Colts let Ryan Tannehill rush for 56 yards last week. It's not a groundbreaking number, but it's certainly enough to take some of the relief off the passing game of the Dolphins, and even the rest of the running game for that matter. The Colts got 2 interceptions last week against the Titans, and that's not a sloppy offense by any means, so they could do that again to Miami. There's some reason to be excited in Indianapolis in terms of the defense. Miami could not stop the rush last week. Peyton Barber for the Las Vegas Raiders got things going. Jonathan Taylor for the Colts has been getting things going. It's going to be painful, but I think the Colts win. Could have tossed a coin though.
Again. Yeah, well, yeah, it could have been just flip of the coin. I think that's what maybe it comes down to. I know you can't really win a football game on a toss of a coin, but yeah, hypothetically.
You used to be able to win a football game on the toss of a coin, because what it used to be with the old overtime rules, it used to be as simple as if you win the coin toss, you pretty much win the game, because you'd only have to travel 20 yards and kick a field goal, and that would be that. So anybody could do that, no matter how bad they were.
Yeah.
But that's why they changed the rules. Times have changed.
That's right. They keep changing, and we change games, and it's the Cleveland Browns, and they travel to Minnesota to play the Vikings. 2 minutes on the clock.
I will do when I find my mouse. There it is. Right, so this has become an interesting game that I think a couple of weeks ago I wouldn't have been hugely interested in. Vikings last week beat the Seahawks. Impressive. Stellar performance. Cousins with 323 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. He got the ball around. Justin Jefferson, 118 yards and a touchdown from him. He also got the ball to Thielen and Conklin for touchdowns. Smooth, running like clockwork. Fair play. They allowed 1 sack, did the Vikings offensive line. Now, the Browns got 9 sacks against the Chicago Bears the week before. So even if you are harsh on that one and say, okay, they get 3 times that, 3 sacks still allows you to win a game. So I think the Vikings are going to be in this. The Browns are a great team. They proved that against the Bears without even breaking a sweat. It's going to be a good fight. But I think the Browns have a little bit more.
Yeah, I said last week, Vikings they have impressed me now. But yes, I did say a lot of horrible things about this team. Mattison impressed with 20, no, yeah, 26 carries, 112 yards. And we said they didn't have a Derrick Henry, but they got Mattison. Like you said, Jefferson, Conklin, and Cleveland all grabbing touchdowns. However, the Browns did put 26 on your Bears, with Chase McLaughlin scoring 14 points, kicking. Yeah. But for me, Vikings are going to win this one.
I hope not, but equally, I think it could happen. Could go either way.
Yeah,
You're
still never. You're still never going to put a bet on,
on the Vikings.
Cousins,
hell no, not that again. Nope, can't do it. Not today.
Nope.
Not ever. Okay, so moving on into our next game, still in this 6 p.m. in the UK time slot, 1 p.m. Eastern in the States. We go to what could be another atrocious game, which is a shame considering I thought both of these teams were going to improve this year. How wrong I was. Washington football team travel to face the Atlanta Falcons. Here we go.
Well, yeah, I didn't have a lot to say about either team. I just think, like you said, I expected a lot out of Washington, and I expected a bit more out of Atlanta. I mean, Matt Ryan, yes, he's a decent quarterback. Washington, yeah, they've kind of just had an odd start to the season. They lost Fitzpatrick.
It deflated them big time, didn't it, losing Fitzpatrick? I think.
Oh, massively, yeah.
A lot of their prospects died there.
Yeah, I mean, Heineke's come in, and yeah, he's got football experience, but he's not got a lot of NFL experience. He came from the XFL, but he's done well. But yeah, I still see the Falcons winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, Heineke's a young quarterback, so he's still developing. It's kind of like him being in his sophomore year. He did a bit of rookie play last year. Not a huge amount. I think he only played in 2 or 3 games. So there's still a lot of development still to come. He wasn't supposed to be in this position. It was supposed to be Fitzpatrick. And the offense isn't really the problem in Washington, shockingly. The defense that played stellarly last year and were tapped for massive things this year is terrible. Chase Young, who was he the MVP last year? He was definitely in the conversation.
He was the MVP, yeah.
He hasn't had a sack this year. He's recorded no sacks in the 2021 season so far. Josh Allen, okay, he's a good quarterback, but he put 358 yards and 4 touchdowns on Washington last week. Mm-hmm. Even if you look at what Matt Ryan did to a bad Giants defense, he put 243 yards and 2 touchdowns on them. So I think the Falcons are too much for Washington as they're playing right now. And the Falcons win. Which is sad to see. Washington were a team to watch.
Yes, they were. We said it. And now it's kind of like a nosedive. But there we are. That's Washington. Always there to disappoint. Wait for that name change. That's all I can say. That's the best thing coming out of that place right now. Yes, however, it's a bigger game, our next game, and it's still 6 p.m. kickoff here in the UK. Barely. And it's the Texans, and they travel to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills. Let's go.
Yeah, northern New York State. Driven past the Buffalo Stadium. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that to you. But anyway, it's a transgression. But that's because it won't take me very long to dash the hopes of any Houston Texans fans that are out there. Still no Tyrod Taylor. Davis Mills starts. He's going to struggle against that Bills D. He only got 168 yards and 1 touchdown last week against Carolina, as we mentioned, because it was the Thursday night game. the Bills' defense have only allowed 178 passing yards per game this year. That's 5th in the NFL overall. No running game at all in Houston for Mills to lean on. 42 yards on 17 carries last week. Not much hope in Houston, and they've got an all-star quarterback on the bench that they don't want to play, and he doesn't want to play for them. It's a sad state of affairs. Bills win.
Yeah, and you say about this all-star QB, Deshaun Watson. Where's the guy gonna go? There we are. That's the question for another week. However, Josh Allen, yes, as you mentioned previous, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, and your old guy, and I'm gonna bring the stats in now. Mitch Trubisky even got on the field last week, completing one pass out of 1 for 1 yard. just one.
100% completion rate. Nailed it.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's going to be a tough old afternoon in Buffalo for the Houston Texans. And to be honest, I see the Texans struggling to keep it under 40. Bills win again.
Yeah. I mean, we're predicting a lot of the same teams. We've differed very little, but some of these games could be proven wrong, as often happens in the NFL on any given Sunday and all that. But seems to be fairly on the nose for a lot of these teams. I would be very shocked to see us both be wrong on that one, especially. Moving on. But unless you got a thought, you can share your thought.
Yeah,
Go for it.
It's like we said. We said it last week. Is you come into now week 4, you kind of. I know you said, and we both said last week, is any given Sunday, but you tend to look, the stronger teams are coming out with the good results now. There's very little differentiation. All right, there's a few upset results, but yeah, it's Bills all day for that one.
Yeah. Apart from the teams, such as the one we're about to discuss, where you have Jekyll and Hyde type players in Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, who will host, I believe, in Jacksonville again, not at the Superdome, the New York Giants. So 2 minutes on the clock. Which Saints will we see this week?
Well, that's it. Is it the good Saints or the bad Saints? Saints did look like the Saints we know last week, and yes, they did beat my Patriots.
A lot.
We did a lot.
Hammered them.
And we said it would happen if Jameis Winston showed up properly, which he did.
Pulverized them.
Yeah, all right. Get it in there. Get the digs in now. However, on that flip side of the coin, Giants got unlucky in an awful 17-14 loss last week to the Falcons, and we said it'd be close, and we said it was going to be the awful game of the week, which it was.
Mm-hmm.
This game, however, with the Giants going to the Saints, wherever it may be, this could get messy for Jameis Winston. Now looking, well, not for him, but for the Giants, with Winston now looking comfortable under center. Saints win for me.
Yeah, I mean, Winston did bounce back, I suppose you could say that. But even then, he only managed 13 of 21, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty pedestrian. 2 touchdowns was enough to beat the Falcons last week, or for the Falcons to beat the Giants rather last week. So it'll probably be enough for New Orleans. I think the main turnaround in the Saints from that awful performance the week before was the running game. Taysom Hill was a major contributor, 6 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown, coming in as a second QB. And Alvin Kamara arrived again, and has 89 yards rushing in the game. So, yeah, I think the Saints are just a little bit too much for the Giants as they stand right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't get me started on that result last week.
I won't. I don't think we got time for that.
No,
the game
definitely
starts
not.
soon, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. However, we do move on and we go to Philadelphia, where the Kansas City Chiefs visit the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's have a good old chinwag about this one.
Well, Turnover City Chiefs was the more appropriate and a new name for KC last week against the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes was made to look like a normal, everyday quarterback by that defense. 260 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. It's not the worst numbers, but when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, that's pretty bad. The Eagles just have to hold Mahomes to the same and force some fumbles from the backs like the Chargers do. Easy, right? Yeah. They couldn't stop Dak on Monday night, and the Eagles are not scoring points. That's the biggest trouble. The defense is better in Philadelphia than it was last year. They've got, I can't remember his name, but they've got a major sack machine on that defensive line. He's doing really well. But they've only scored 8 touchdowns over 3 games. It's not enough. The Chiefs will just pepper the end zone with scores and beat them. Chiefs win.
Yeah, and you know, my reasoning behind this is, why do we even consider a winner here? I mean, yeah, okay, the Chiefs didn't look so good last week in what I see as a shock loss to the Chargers, 30 points to 24. Mahomes, like you said, with his stats of 3-2, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not good for him. He has a major multi-million-dollar contract that we spoke about last year. Chiefs do have too much for those Eagles. I feel that the real Mahomes will show up in Philly. Yeah, it's kind of given, right? Chiefs win. Who knows?
I felt like it was a given that the Chiefs beat the Chargers last week, and that was one that we got completely wrong. So
we both got that one wrong, right?
We did, yeah. But you know, on the theme of surprises, the 3-0 Panthers go down to Jerry World to face the Dallas Cowboys. Just mentioned Dak in the last segment. What do we think about this one? 2 minutes.
I mean, yeah, this for me is a true battle of the quarterbacks. One that's found his true home, and one that's come back to form. With Sam Darnold down in Carolina, and Dak Prescott that's come back from that injury last year and come back really, really strong. I never thought I'd say that Sam Darnold stood a real chance against the Dallas team that's really, just started to move through those gears in that first 3 weeks of this season. This game could be the best game of the week. And high chance of it being the highest scoring game of the week. Possibility of a shootout. Cowboys for me.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys for me as well, but with the following kind of caveats. Darnold's played well, he really has. Knew he would. The Jets were kind of foolish to let him go and use that number 2 pick on a quarterback when they could have worked on other areas of the team or traded it away to get more picks. Sam Darnold wasn't the problem. That's been proven now already. 296 yards per game so far, but he was sacked 3 times last week. So teams are getting to Sam Darnold. They need to work on that and improve that offensive line. Christian McCaffrey is out. That's one of the major contributors to me saying Cowboys. And on defense, their rookie sensation JC Horn at corner broke his foot. He's out for a much longer time. Cowboys are just more polished, and I picked them to go all the way, right? So I've got to stick with that now.
Yes, you have to now. You've said it from week 1.
It wasn't week 1, it was last week. And I only picked them to make the playoffs. I didn't pick them to make the Super Bowl. Let's not get too carried away.
No, yeah, let's not give those Cowboy fans any hope. They don't need that. They're still living in 1996. Yeah. However, we're finished with the 6 p.m. games. We move on to my favourite section of the 9 p.m.-ish games here in the UK.
You love saying that, don't you?
I do. It's really it's starting to become my catchphrase.
You're a little bit too excited about it, frankly. But anyway,
doesn't affect me this week. It's fine. And the first game is the Seattle Seahawks, and they travel down to San Francisco to play the 49ers. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock with this one.
So, despite the loss last week versus the Packers, we saw a different Jimmy Garoppolo show up. He was great. I would go as far to say 253 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but fine. It took him a little while to get going at the beginning of the game, but once he did, he was great, and hopefully the 49ers can just carry on where they left off at the end of last week. Another game decided by field goal right in the last moments. That Seahawks defense, as I mentioned in the opening segment, is not quite putting it all together yet. So hopefully Jimmy G can exploit that. I say hopefully, I don't really care. What I do care about, and it wound me up last week while I was watching this game, Deebo Samuel drops the ball way too much. Like, there were plenty of passes that Jimmy G got to him that he could have caught. 5 out of 10 last week, and those 5 incompletions were totally on Samuel. He just flat out dropped them like he was playing pee-wee football, and he just smashed the ball off his face. Terrible work for a pro wide receiver. So yeah, I think this game is going to be close. It's going to come down to who scores last. But I think the Seahawks upset the home team for the second week in a row for the 49ers, and Seahawks win.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disagree here. Seahawks, definitely for me. I think they had the shock last week of losing to the Minnesota Vikings. Russell Wilson's not going to let that happen again, right? 49ers, however, gave the Green Bay Packers and last year's MVP far too long with 38 seconds and no timeouts left. Yeah, pro San Francisco, but Seahawks win.
Going Seahawks as well. Okay. Interesting. Is your idea just that you match what I say, so that we can only ever score the same amount of points, and you win the whole year by 1 point? Is that your plan now?
Well, why not, isn't it?
I see your game.
I've deviated once tonight.
Put my own secret predictions in a different page of notes next week, so you can't see them in advance. That's what I get for doing my notes before yours.
Just add in. Yeah, that's unfortunately that's my fault for doing them well after you did yours, isn't it? Yeah, I can just see what you've written. I'm just going, yeah, that's just what Jez said.
Jez is a sage. Let's copy whatever he says. Anyway, moving on to what could be the game of the week, and we throw that around a lot, but I genuinely believe it about this one. The Arizona Cardinals heading to their division rival, the Los Angeles Rams, that I almost called the Cardinals the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ooh.
Random. Totally mixing up things in my brain today. Yeah. 2 minutes on the clock. Let's pick a winner.
Yeah, so for me, this is a no-brainer. The Rams showed up last week against the reigning and defending Super Bowl champs
of the world.
Of the world, yeah. Wrong show. Tom Brady's first ever trip to Hollywood, and he went and lost. Matt Stafford, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. Is this the same guy from Detroit? Not sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing really well. Cooper Kupp had 2 touchdowns. However, Kyler Murray, 316 yards, no touchdown.
Hell yeah.
He had to put that one in there. 1 interception. A little bit odd for the guy, but any given Sunday, seeing as they ousted Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, Rams for me.
Wasn't Rams for you last week, though, was it?
It wasn't, no.
That's one that I got right and you didn't. Anyway, but yes, the Rams absolutely gashed the Bucks last week. People are putting Stafford in the MVP conversation already. They're even thinking about rejigging the criteria for comeback player of the year so they can give him that as well. That's how well Stafford is playing down in LA. The Rams have only allowed 1 sack, not last week in the game, all year. In all of the 2021 season so far, they've only allowed 1 sack, and Stafford has only been hit 4 times. This team is clicking on all cylinders. Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, combined with this Stafford offense that we've already talked about, just going to be too much for the Cardinals. As good as they are, and they are, but the Rams win.
Yes, like you said, clicking on all cylinders already.
Is that the phrase? I feel like I'm mixing my metaphors here.
It's firing on all cylinders.
That's the one. Yeah. What clicks then?
Do you know my fingers like that?
I don't know. As I said it, I'm like, that's not the phrase, but just say it with confidence and no one will notice. But apparently you did.
Clicking into gear?
I don't know. I don't even think there's anything after it, actually. I think it's just things are clicking into place.
Yes, into place.
Yeah.
Firing on all cylinders.
Clicking
That's what
into
they're
place.
doing, though. That's what they're doing.
Whatever it is, yeah. The Rams are so good, they're managing to do things that don't actually exist. It just furthers my point, really.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something, there will not be a repeat of the Rams and Patriots this year. I give that as a dead cert. Anyway, we'll move on, and we'll travel down to what's soon to become a very cold place of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we move to the Steelers, and they're traveling down to play the Packers. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock.
Let's be clear, it's always a cold place owing to there not being one collective soul in the entire city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. But I digress. And I digress to say something that may suggest I don't have much of a soul. Big Ben is done. He is done. He was tackled by a blade of grass last week. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but he was walking and then he wasn't walking. And he's slow. He's hurt again. It's time to move on, and they're not going to do it. Mike Tomlin isn't going to bench him. And fair play, he's a respectful guy. He's not going to bench Ben Roethlisberger. So this team is not going to be very good for the rest of the year. Sorry, Pittsburgh fans. Maybe next year. Meanwhile, Rodgers was doing Rodgers things, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did have to leave it to Mason Crosby to save the day as time expired. Throw that one out there. But the Steelers, even on defense, Big Ben aside, they got 0 sacks against a Bengals team that the Bears sacked 5 times. Nothing doing. Packers win. I hate saying the Packers are going to win.
Yeah, I agree. Ben is done. Far too slow, and far too old. The guy needs to be benched, but like you said, Mike Tomlin is not going to do it. And they did get pasted by the Bengals. Packers left it late, like I said earlier. 38 seconds on that clock. So Aaron is in win now mode, as I said last week. And then probably a move on in 2022. But yeah, I think he wants it desperately. He wants a ring. Packers, get it done for me.
Yeah, it seems like the Packers are getting their share of the bad teams that they just get to beat, or teams that are reeling in the 49ers. Yeah. I don't know. Getting a lot of luck. Don't like it.
A bit like the Steelers last year, wasn't it? They had that really good run of like the cakewalk. And
well, I tell you what, that's a pretty good segue to one of the teams in the next game, actually, because we'll get to it. But I think the Denver Broncos are the worst 3-0 team out there. And they host the Baltimore Ravens, who, you know, I heaped praise on them last week. And spoiler alert, I'm about to do it again. But you first, 2 minutes on the clock. Here we go.
Absolutely. So yeah, the Baltimore Ravens got tested by the Detroit Lions. That for me stinks of inconsistency. But a win is a win in any sport. Lamar Jackson, 287 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Broncos in their game, they pasted the Jets 26-0 with Teddy Bridgewater putting up 235 yards. However, he had no touchdown passes and no interceptions. It's going to be one to call. That's a difficult one, but I think this one will end up in overtime with the Broncos winning.
Yeah, well, the Broncos have beaten the Jets, and they've beaten. Was it the Jags that they beat as well?
Mm-hmm.
They've not really played anyone yet.
No.
So the Ravens are going to be their first real test, and I think that game last week between the Ravens and the Lions, I think that's more testament to how good the Lions are, and that their 0-3 doesn't reflect the Lions more so than the Ravens being bad. So I'm going to disagree with you here, and I'm going to say that the Ravens pull off the win. While Bridgewater has settled nicely into that Broncos offense, he's still looking a bit pedestrian, and he looked pedestrian against the Jets, of all people. 235 yards and no touchdowns. His completion record's pretty good. He got 19 out of 25. He's solid, he's steady, but he's not flashy, and I don't think he can be clutch and win when it's really necessary. They're scrappy. It's going to be a fight, but I think the Ravens will eventually smother them.
It's twice we've differed now.
Good. Long may it continue.
Absolutely. It was almost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'm starting to get uncomfortable.
I know.
All this agreement.
Shifting my seat, it's just felt a little bit too weird. However, we move on to the Sunday night football. It's for you across the pond, not for me over here, because I'm not going to be staying up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, Monday morning football wasn't as catchy a title, so they went with the American time zone instead of the British time zone.
I know. You've
been waiting all day for Monday morning. It doesn't work.
Nope, it certainly does not. However, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we know who their quarterback is, and the tight end, and blah blah blah. They travel to New England to play the New England Patriots. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, you can see the smile on my face because this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. It's the revenge game. Antonio Brown finally goes back to New England after they very quickly released him 2 years ago. Massive, massive drama. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this game. The Bucs defense let that other guy down there, Tom something. They let him down a lot. The guy who throws the ball, you know who I mean. They let him down a lot last week, and he just had to keep trying to score more points in order to try and beat the Rams, and he did, but not enough, unfortunately. I don't think that's going to be the same kind of issue or challenge for him in New England. The Saints put 28 points on the Patriots last week, and that was more than adequate for a victory. Even if Mac Jones is the second coming of Thomas Brady in New England, I think that Brady will just channel himself and put more points up and just keep scoring until the Patriots are a soggy, broken, crying mess in the middle of Foxborough, Massachusetts. Bucks win.
Yeah, and I think didn't I tell Antonio Brown to take up fishing?
Yeah.
I did, and he didn't flipping listen. Anyway, and I can see this coming to me using my first time out. After all this time, with the last but one game of the the week. But yes, this is the homecoming of one Thomas Brady. No feelings attached. And yeah, when it does get there, I'm gonna go like that. But yes, Bill Belichick's record without Tom Brady is nothing less than shocking. Was Tom Brady the X Factor in New England? Stats suggest so. I've really hated all this stupid social media pants over the last week now. It's everywhere. There's signs up in Massachusetts of Tom Brady with a cross across his face and saying, "This is New England." Yes, it is New England, but Tom Brady has a lot of history with New England and brought a lot of success to the Patriots. And I just don't see any point to it. This game, as we know, will be settled on the turf at one Patriot Place. Brady has been great. It was great again. He's already been great this season. Okay, a little hiccup against a very, very good LA Rams team. And I didn't see it happening. You did. Um,
Yeah, he did.
Interesting news that came out this week was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed a Richard Sherman that we all know of from that Seahawks Pats Super Bowl with his face dropping like it was something out of a horror film.
It's a good meme.
But yes, they've signed Richard Sherman to a 1-year contract. Interesting pickup, something they may need on defense.
Well, he's not going to play on Sunday. He has
Oh,
confirmed
wow.
that. On social media, he's come out and said, yeah, I need more than a couple of days to get into the groove with this team. I won't be playing on Sunday. So we can put that to bed.
Understandable. But I'm going out on a limb here. I'm saying Bucks win.
It's not going out on the limb. That is the obvious answer.
It
There are
is
no
the obvious
limbs.
answer.
You are sat dead centre in the middle of the tree saying the thing that is going to happen. There are no limbs.
Yeah. However, whenever I bet against the Patriots have won.
Well, streaks are meant to be broken, Matthew.
Absolutely.
It ain't happening this week.
No.
Right. So, Monday night football. Or again, Tuesday morning football if you're here in the UK.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for some football? Tuesday morning party. Again, doesn't work. Marketing team's going to have to work on it. The Las Vegas Raiders travel to the Los Angeles Chargers. I've been begging to get those wrong. Still getting them wrong after this time. Even in my head. Almost called them the LA Raiders, which is even more of a throwback to a long time ago. I'm old. 2 minutes on the clock.
Yes, I'm really glad this has got a prime time slot. The Raiders have shocked enough people already with shock results. And I think this shock will continue. a 31-28 win versus the Dolphins. A little bit too close for comfort, I think, for them, considering they were considerably down at half time from what I remember. Yeah, it was a bit too tight for most thought. Derek Carr's been great this year. He's actually the passing leader already this year with over 1,200 yards, 386 2 touchdowns, 1 interception last week. For me, it's Raiders to win, and they're gonna go to 4-0.
Okay. You're right. I'm glad this is a primetime game because it's going to be a good one. It's definitely going to be one of the games of the week. We should probably drink every time we say game of the week. We say it a lot. But the Raiders did make beating a bad Dolphins team look pretty difficult last week. Whereas the Chargers, conversely, made beating a good Kansas City Chiefs team look run-of-the-mill. So just like everyone expected, right? Both quarterbacks are doing very well. Both quarterbacks are spreading the ball around. Herbert averages 318 yards a game. Carr, as you mentioned, is the passing leader, averages 401 yards per game. And both teams on the other side of the ball have got good secondaries that can slow down QBs. I'll just call my timeout. Why not? I haven't used one yet.
Go for it.
Both teams on the other side of the ball are good at slowing down the quarterbacks, picking the ball off, preventing, knocking the ball down, all that kind of good secondary defense stuff. So it's a toss-up. It's a big toss-up. I suppose the only other aspect of that to really dig deep on is the running game. Las Vegas had the better rushing attack last week. Chargers still haven't really got their running game going. Austin Eckler, I believe he was held to something like 40, 50 or 60 in that kind of mid on the way to 100 yards mark last week. So yeah, it's very much a toss-up. It's going to be which teams show up, and so I'm gonna do it, Matt. I'm gonna toss a coin. I can't pick it. I'm tossing a coin. Right, so here comes my customary coin. There is heads, and there is tails. We'll say heads Raiders, tails Chargers. Okay, drum roll, please. It is tails, therefore I'm picking Chargers.
Interesting, and we've varied on selection again.
Accidentally.
But yeah. Accidentally. But yeah, what a game to put these two quarterbacks in. Justin Herbert, like you said, putting up good numbers, 318 per game. Derek Carr, 401 per game. I didn't expect Derek Carr to be the passing leader after 3 weeks. Will he still be there after this week? Tom Brady gets a chance to break the NFL all-time record.
That's true, yeah. Maybe this week, but at the end of the season, perhaps not.
No.
We shall see.
Yeah, so, yeah, but yeah.
I'm glad that coin fell on Chargers, actually. I'm feeling more confident about that now that it's actually written on paper. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Good job, coin.
Instead of making your selection as toss of a coin, it's all good.
You've got to pick a winner, Matt. However you get it done, doesn't matter.
Absolutely,
A W's a W. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, but, yeah, that poor performance in the early game against the Dolphins it gives me pause. So I'm glad that it fell Chargers. It's the sensible choice. Good job, coin. Anyway, we might make some sensible choices next. We'll see. This is our new segment for 2021. Moving into week 4 in the segment we call You Bet. You bet. Woo!
I've got nothing to dance around with in my, imaginary Lombardi.
You don't, Matthew. No, because you're not the predictions champion. I am.
I'm not.
And thanks for pointing that out and reminding everyone just how things stand. So, You Bet, for those who are new to this show, is the segment in which we take one of the bets or the money lines from a popular betting site of a scenario that may or may not happen in a game, and we decide whether we will take that bet or not. We've each got a bet that we're going to suggest, and we bet on both of them. It adds to our predictions at the end of the week. So, would you like to go first?
I will, and it's my second time round, isn't it, with the betting.
Well, second time setting one, anyway.
Second time setting one, that's right, yeah. So my bet comes from the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals game. And the question is, will the Bengals win? Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon both score touchdowns in the game. What do you think?
These are untimed downs, by the way.
Untimed.
We should point that out as well for any newbies.
Yeah.
Do you know I'm going to go yes? I'm going to go yes, they will do this. Because I believe the Bengals are going to win. Jamar Chase has been scoring touchdowns consistently every game. I don't think the Jags are going to be the team that break that streak. So the only real questioner is Joe Mixon. But again, it's the Jags, and they've been trying to work Joe Mixon back in and get him back involved in the game. It's a great time to do it. So, yeah, they do it. Why not? Let's take that bet.
You've said yes to one of my bets. It's the first time it's happened. But yeah, I got to agree here now. Like you said, it's against the Jags. Bengals have been very, very good already. Jamar Chase consistent. Joe Mixon back in the mix. So yeah, I'm gonna go yes too.
It's the sensible choice, Matt. I don't blame you.
Absolutely sensible. And currently, it got a bet boost from 4-1 to 6-1.
Might be worth chucking a quid or two on,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
chuck
it's pretty good
a quid
return.
on it, you get £7 back.
Yeah. Well, £6 and then you £1 back. It doesn't.
Wow, yeah. £6.
That quid isn't really profit, but anyway,
No.
I digress. Let's move on to my bet then, which comes from the Washington football team at Atlanta Falcons game. My question is, will both teams score at least 2 touchdowns in the game?
So, yeah, they're a little bit. Both teams are a little bit inconsistent. Washington, are they going to score 2 against Atlanta, who have been, shall we say, shaky on defense? Atlanta, who have got Matt Ryan at quarterback and have been. Do you know something? I see this game exploding. I'm going to say yes to both.
Damn it. I thought you were edging towards no then, and I'm like, yes, he's going to say no. And I'm going to say yes as well, because I think you just nailed it in that last moment of your thinking out loud. I think this will turn into an inadvertent shootout. Both defenses are ungood, and
yes.
It's just going to be Heineke stepping up and getting the ball to Scary Terry, and Matt Ryan finally discovering that he has receivers on his team and getting the ball to them. So, yeah, I'm going yes as well. I think at least 2 touchdowns each is the minimum that we get, I believe. So, yes is across the board on both bets. I don't think that's happened so far.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, we've both taken the bets, and we've both taken the same. So I can't possibly use you bet to overtake you this week, which is disappointing.
and I think we've differentiated 3 times across the predictions. So there is scope for you to move ahead, or
to go
for
2
me
ahead
to,
overall. Yeah.
for me to further my 1 point lead. But yeah, it's getting interesting after now 4 weeks.
Yeah, things are definitely hotting up, and it won't be long until we are starting to think about, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, teams with coaches on the hot seat and thinking about firing people. We'll be moving towards trade deadlines and people scrambling to fill that last piece of their roster that they need to take them through the playoffs. Interesting couple of weeks ahead. October's a big month in the NFL, and we're on the way now. We're on the way.
We are. Almost at my favourite month of football, which is Thanksgiving football.
Yeah, I like Thanksgiving football too. Yeah.
Almost there.
If it wasn't for football, I'm not sure I'd like this time of year, but I do. Yeah. I really do. But that's our show. We are going to bring things to a close now. Thank you very much to everyone that has joined us to watch on YouTube and on Facebook. If you would like to listen again or take the podcast with you in your ears, you can do so at anchor.fm/2-minute-warning. It's anchor.fm/2-minute-warning. We're also available on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and many, many more to come. We'll be back next week, as always, ready to predict Week 5 in the NFL. Matt will probably be a broken mess by then after Tom Brady has come and destroyed his Patriots. I'm surprised I'm not already a broken, crying mess with the way the Bears have been playing. So I think I'm holding it together fairly well, don't you think?
You are, and I think the big thing we've got to mention next week is football's coming back to England or the UK. Well, we call it England because it's coming to Party House.
It's coming home. Football is coming home. No one's ever said that before.
No.
That's not a phrase that we've heard.
Pinkton did by us.
We'll see you next week. Thank you very much for joining us on 2 Minute Warning. It's bye from me. Say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt.